haven't been like following his life trajectory, partly because I don't, want to think of myself as associated with somebody like that. It's not like I played a great golfer or something, and I want to and now people think I'm a great golfer.
You know this man, actor Jesse Eisenberg, who played Mark Zuckerberg in The Social Network.
It's like this guy that's like doing kind of like, doing things that are problematic, taking away, fact checking and safety concerns, making people who are already threatened in this world more threatened.
You're concerned by those actions?
I'm concerned just as like a person who reads a newspaper. I don't think like about, I played the guy in the movie and therefore it's like just I'm a human being and you read these things and these people have like billions upon billions of dollars, like more money than, any human person has ever amassed. And like, what are they doing with it? And like, they're doing it to like curry favor with somebody who's preaching, hateful things. So to me, that's what I think of. But I think of that not as like a person who played in a movie. I think of it as just somebody who's married to a woman who teaches disability justice in New York, and lives for her students are going to get a little harder.
Amen to that. And what was he referring to?
It's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there, and we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far.
And hey, just a quick break in the action. You should go subscribe to my new show, The Rick Strom Show. I'm going to be interviewing people from sports, music, journalists, authors, sports doctors. It's going to be fantastic. Please go subscribe. Thank you.
Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower-severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed, so we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship. By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it.
Well, in part, it was this. He sucks. The platform sucks. The model sucks. The amount of misinformation he has enabled sucks. All of it just bad.
List of things Mark Zuckerberg looked like while announcing hate speech is allowed on Facebook again. If Bach from Wicked attended Howard University. A Saved by the Bell episode where Screech goes to the Source Awards. The Instacart app icon during Black History Month. Like a cop undercover at Supreme. An out-of-work DJ / magician. Look at his eyes, for real. Tell me he does not look like he let one of the N-words in the song slip. He looked like an intern for Chet Hanks. He looked kind of like if Napoleon Dynamite grew up in Detroit. Not everyone will get that. Like he was walking past a FUBU and got pooped on by a pigeon so hard he ran in and was like, "You need to help me fast." Zuckerberg looked like he wear the first chain in history that's screaming to be snatched. This looked like the first cross-racial midlife crisis. He looked like if Eminem did spell his name like the candy. Hey Zuck, stay good, dog.
And he deserves to get roasted for it.
Office culture has become pretty neutered. We're missing the masculine energy. That's why when you walk into the offices at Meta, you'll see, football tables, pool tables, dudes hanging dong, classic guy stuff. You have this idea that, masculinity is toxic. And it's like, no, you want feminine energy. You want masculine energy. For me personally, lots of women want to touch me. My body is good and not slimy. I think having a culture that celebrates aggression a bit more is good. When me and my guy friends are just hanging out, we don't shy away from that aggression. Sometimes I get so mad that I say things like, "Why you Iota?" And, my guy friends, they really get that. I think we basically have gotten to this point where you couldn't say things that were, mainstream discourse. Hate speech is actually good. I would say, personally, my favorite slur is fat. So by removing some of those guardrails, I think we're actually getting back to our American roots. I miss the days where you could log on and see a video of a guy getting his arm ripped off in a horrible machinery accident. So, we've brought that back to Meta. I was recently saying to my big group of guy friends, how did we get here? And we were all laughing about that. I think I bring a lot of humor to our squad. They're actually all just right behind this curtain right here, and they really like me a lot. I actually started doing MMA fighting recently. Do you think that's cool? Or great, cool, just checking.
I got a few thoughts on this. First, shout out to Jesse for the Indiana University hat. Love it. As an alumnus, love it. Second, I remember seeing The Social Network, and it's rather interesting how Mark Zuckerberg was conveyed, because as we have learned and as I have stated previously, I don't believe that it was a movie. I believe it was a documentary, but there was sort of like, yeah, he's kind of being an a-hole, but simultaneously, boy, is he driven. Boy, is his business acumen really strong. Boy, he really has the grit, and he deserves to be a billionaire. He deserves to be powerful. When really, he is a maniacal D-bag who screwed over countless people, and the idea really wasn't his. And the original idea, the origin of rating women by how hot they were, juvenile. And to see this man with his awful haircuts, his awkward speech, the way that he conducts himself, whether he is plastering lotion when he's surfing on the water, or transforming into this try-hard, please pick me, I want to be a bro so bad appearance with, I could say this, the hair that looks like he is about to be bar mitzvahed when he's in his 40s and he's making up for lost time, basically dog whistling and signaling to the MAGA audience, please come back. I am talking about how masculinity is needed, how we need less women in the workplace, how DEI is bad. I am your Huckleberry. Come back to my platforms. Use the hell out of Instagram. Use the hell out of Facebook. Use the hell out of Threads. I'm not going to innovate at all. I'm going to copy paste every single thing and try as best I can by also sucking up to Donald Trump, who at once, this is true, called for Zuckerberg's imprisonment. Yet he is the one who is saying that leftists are crazy and leftists are the problem, and they're the ones that want to imprison everybody. The dude that you went, wined, and dined at Mar-a-Lago in order to say, in my opinion, hey, I'm going to throw all my support behind you, and if you win, you can have anything you want. That same guy who called for you to be behind bars, what an absolute joke you are, Mark. You're a joke. I mean, the evolution, astonishing. The amount of distrust that he has allowed to be sown into American society, awful. What he did in Myanmar, awful. Cambridge Analytica, awful. And yet here he is, front and center, front row. When he's not taking a look at Lauren Sanchez's chest, he is showing, along with Bezos, Musk and others who are right there, Larry Ellison, front and center. We are the oligarchs. We control the information. I cannot stand this. I cannot stand this. I cannot stand seeing oligarchs front and center, sitting front row at a presidential inauguration while our social security is being shared with a tech soon-to-be trillionaire. And we could hardly afford groceries. And we could hardly afford getting a new car if we need it. A used car even. Getting a repair. Having a medical scare. Can't afford it. It's unjust.